So this is, okay, so this is just the workers' compensation. And then the last page is how you'll be evaluated in work experience. So again, just showing you exactly what you should be working on: organization of time and workstation, ability to follow instructions, appearance. Again, you need to come in with not necessarily interview attire, but you have to have a look around and see how people are dressed and who are working there, and use that as your guide. Make sure that you keep up with the level of dress that is accepted in the work in the placement, and that's actually a decent question to ask during an interview. What is allowed? What is the dress code? That's a great question to ask during your interview. Make sure that attendance is perfect, punctuality, making sure that you're there before your shift starts, dependability, making sure that you meet all of your obligations, meaning you finish your work on time and properly. Taking initiative, that's not something that's going to show up in the first week. It's difficult to understand what needs to be done before people are asking you. So certainly, hopefully you can have some opportunity to show that in the second week of your placement. And then again, showing progress. Hopefully, again, that's the second week that they're going to be evaluating that in you. Ability to get along with others, it's just straightforward. Cooperation, that's part of it. And quality of work, neat, accurate work beyond the required amount. So going above and beyond. And this is, this is for people that really want the job afterwards, and making sure that you're going to stand out and get an offer if you really like. And then, of course, they have to sign off. You sign off, and then this comes back to Ms. Sammartino in the Career Ed office. And this is accounts for a part of your mark for work experience. Not all of it, but part of it. And so we're going to look at the next sheet, the green package, which is the interview package now. So this is the one that you actually have to take to your interview, and you have to also get it back from your interviewer. So again, the interview instructions here is: complete the student interview feedback sheet, explain the issues of confidentiality and oath of confidentiality form. With the student, please review and complete the workplace safety checklist. And in order to meet the WC requirements, this must be reviewed at the first day of work or during the orientation. So that's why we've included it in this package, because some people may actually have this as part of their orientation, the WorkSafe. So completion of the contract. The contract is the most important sheet in this package. The contract has to come back before you can go out on work experience. Under no circumstances should you be working in that job site without having the contract in the Career Ed office. It has to be here. The reason is because you are not covered properly for WorkSafe BC, and therefore if you get injured on the site, you are not covered. Okay, so I cannot stress this, how important it is to complete the contract and have it in our office before you step foot in the first day of your job. Okay, you can go ahead and do an orientation as long as you're not working. Okay. All right, so the first page is the interviewed feedback sheet. So all of you should go through a formal interview, and if you do not, if for whatever reason they just want to hand you the job and talk about the placement, then you need to ask for the interview. Otherwise, this is a mark that's going to show up on your work experience, and if you don't get it, you're not going to get the marks for it. Okay, so you need to ask someone to formally sit down and interview you from the company, from the placement. Okay, so again, it's just providing feedback, letting you know exactly what you need to improve, and some comments, and make sure that they sign it. Okay, oops, here's the signature. Okay, the next page is the oath of confidentiality form, and really, they're not going to be providing you company secrets, but we just have to have this in order for certain companies. We used to do placements in a lot more placements where there was some confidential information like EA Sports and things like that. And at law firms and even in health facilities, doctors and dentist office, there is some concern for confidentiality and banks as well. So you need to sign off and just agree that you're not going to share any customer or client information or company information to anyone. Okay, and again, you sign it, they sign it, and that gets returned back to the Career Ed office. The next sheet is the Workplace Safety Checklist. Again, this is included in this package, in the green interview package, as well as your work experience package that you will take to work experience every single day. So if you do lose this, we have another copy in your work experience package. If this doesn't get filled out during your interview, it's not a problem. Okay, we have included this because some of you may find you will go through an orientation after the interview where you will be going through workplace safety checklist items. And so you need to have this with you. So we've included it in the interview package as well as the work experience package. So again, that's just going to go through and talk about workplace safety issues specific to the work site. So again, that needs to be signed. The employer needs to sign that as well. This, again, I can't stress enough, is the most important part of the package, is getting the contract signed and returned before you start your first day of work experience. So you can go ahead and start filling in some of this information. I'm not sure if we need your PIN number, but we have it, so we can get that for you. We used to have a listing. I might see if I can get that for you. Then don't worry about filling this out, the company information. Obviously, that's going to be filled out when you do get your placement, so you can do that ahead of time. And just make a note. These are the dates of work experience. And so it's from April 13th to June 13th. Okay. Now, I realize we're actually only going out for 2 weeks. We're only stopping classes for 2 weeks, I should say. But we've put this June 13th here just in case some of you will need to extend your shifts beyond those 2 weeks. And again, obviously you're not going to be missing any school. We do not want you to miss any school. But if you're wanting to reach your 50 or your 80 hours, which is, again, this is for the grade 11 credit. This is for the grade 12 credit. If you haven't met either of these requirements, and you're wanting to, you have until June 13th. You are protected through WorkSafe until June 13th. Now we can also extend that if need be, but I don't think we will need to because the majority of your hours are going to be completed in this 2-week work experience period starting in April 13th, sorry. So again, that's just to make sure that you're covered. And you are covered from the hours of 6 a.m. to 3 a.m. And so just please be aware that shouldn't be, you shouldn't be working at 4 and 5 a.m. But anyhow, we just include it and make sure that that the employer understands that as well. Placement status is you're covered for every day. Most of you won't be working every day, although some of you that will be working every weekday, and some of you may be working weekends and on evening shifts, etc. So there's all sorts of variation in there, but we just want to make sure that that's a possibility that everyone could work every day. But again, you're up to a maximum of either 50 or 80 hours, not beyond that. Signatures, there's your student signature. All of these signatures need to happen. Obviously, the most important ones here are your parents and your employers. Okay, most of you, I don't believe anyone's going to have a union placement. So the employer needs to sign and the parent needs to sign. If for whatever reason the employer wants to hold on to this contract, ask them to photocopy it because you need to have it back. Tell them they can sign it even if they don't want to make a decision about whether or not they're placing you at the interview. So please just have them sign it, and if they decide that they don't want to place you at the placement, that's fine. They can just contact yourself or the career ad office and let them know that you did not receive the placement, but please have them sign that regardless. And photocopy it if they want to photocopy it, but you need to have this back to you, because otherwise you're going to have to make another trip to get this contract back before you start work experience. Again, we can have them fax it to the school if they are more comfortable with that, but it's preferable that you take this in hand and take it with you. The last page is just sort of the legalese part, just talking about student duties, the days of work experience, supervision, site safety, all the rest of it, and you can go through that on your own. Okay, so that's the work experience, the 2 packages that you will be taking to your interview. We will also give you a sheet to give you some ideas about how to contact your employer for an interview. So we'll talk about that later as well. Okay, so you have 2 packages in front of you this morning, and we're going to talk about the supervisor's information package first. This is the package that you're going to take both of them to your interview, but the beige package is the package that you're going to leave with your interviewer or your supervisor. So this package is for their information. It's to get them to understand what the program is about. So it's for their reference, and there's really nothing in here that you need. So I'll just go through it quickly so that you can explain it to the supervisor if they have questions. But basically, the front page is just going over the employer guidelines. So if we can just look at that. Basically, they're supposed to review the orientation and training guidelines for their own placement, for their specific workplace, and then go over the workplace safety checklist, which we have included in the other package, in the green package that you have. So the workplace safety checklist should be done either at the interview, at an orientation, or on the first shift that you have. So basically before you start working, you should be going through the workplace safety checklist. And again, this is, we let the employer know this so that they can make sure that they do that. And the employer safety or supervisor initials are required on the student timesheet, so that's just to let them know that they have to sign off on all of your hours that when you've completed them. And it doesn't have to be the person who interviewed you that does that. It can be anyone who happens to be supervising you on that shift. So again, just to make sure that you get all your hours signed off, because that's what's going to give you the credits for this the work experience courses that you will get credit for, the grade 11 and the grade 12 course. So it also indicates and lets them know that a teacher mentor will be assigned to you and to that placement, and and they will be in contact with them. Okay, and at the conclusion of the placement, please complete the student evaluation form. Again, they have to evaluate you. There's a couple of different things that they're going to evaluate you. They're going to give you some feedback on your interview, which comes in the blue package, or sorry, in the green package. But there's also a place for them to evaluate you for your entire work experience, and that we've included that at the end of this package, and I'll show you that in a few moments. So there's a couple of places where they can evaluate you. You're going to also get it in your own work experience package. So there's basically 3 packages that you're going to get for work experience. There's the beige supervisor's package, which we're talking about now, the green interview package, which is mostly for the interview, and then there's the work experience package, which you're going to take to work experience with you. Okay, these 2 packages that I'm talking about now are for your interview, so you have to bring them to your interview with you. Okay, All right, so at the conclusion of your work experience placement, they're going to evaluate you, and then they're supposed to sign off that you've completed your work experience. So let's turn to the next page. Again, it's just instructions for the supervisor. They're to meet with you to clarify the student's expectations and outline yours. Inform your co-workers when the student will be at the work site, so they will be welcoming. And before the student begins their first shift, there should be some kind of orientation. So a tour of where you're going to be working, and introduce you to some people at the site, and they're going to give you an overview of the company, what they do, some of their policies, and explain, what it is that your role is going to be. Okay, and at that time, hopefully, the workplace safety checklist is completed. Again, that can be on the first day of the job, or it can be even after the interview is finished. Now, in terms of training, again, we give them some guidelines on what needs to be included in training, and it is most of your employers will have experience with working with students, but some may not. Some may not have a lot of experience working with high school students and not understand that you kind of have to go to square one, because this is your first work experience opportunity and you really are starting from nothing. So again, we just give them some guidelines. This is the next sheet is talking about teacher mentors and what their role is, and again, that they're going to probably contact them within the first week and set up a site visit maybe for the second week of work experience, just to make sure that everything's going well, and to touch base with the employer. And then it just talks about the student evaluation and that it needs to come back to the school. And usually it's just a matter of them giving it to you and then you handing it in. The next page talks about the work experience, workers' compensation coverage, which, as I said before, I believe that when you go out on work experience, you are considered an employee, a quasi-employee of the district, which just means that you're going to be covered under the district's work experience coverage.